Welcome back to the Snod Pod with Jon Snodgrass, your mortgage resource, where we're talking real estate, mortgages, and beyond. Today, I have Realtor Courtney Stefaniak in from Stefaniak Realty Group. Courtney, thanks for coming on the Snod Pod.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
All right, yeah, you're welcome. Well, let's jump right into it. Could you just tell me about your journey, into real estate? Did you,
Sure.
get into it right off the bat out of high school or college?
Yeah. So I went to Marquette, graduated in 2008, had my license while I was in college, but wasn't doing anything with it. I worked an accounting job after college for about a year and just realized pretty quickly that the 8 to 5 behind a desk wasn't going to be for me. And I was doing both at the same time. So eventually I just had to make a choice. And with my family being in the business for as long as they have, it was kind of a given. So that's how I got my start. And I think 2009 was my first full year of real estate.
Got it. So I'm just thinking like accounting, that busy time from like January through April, isn't that just like brutal hours?
The 8 to 5 was brutal hours enough for me.
Oh,
So
okay.
that was good. That was good enough.
Got it.
But it's funny just because I don't know that real estate's any better in terms of hours. It's just all over the board.
Sure. Flexibility is nice.
Flexibility
about real
is
estate.
nice, but you're definitely working those evenings and weekends too. So
Sure. Yeah. So your family has been in real estate. I mean, I feel like Stefaniak and real estate is just Milwaukee staple.
yeah, I have agents had called us the Gaudis of real estate.
Do you mind just sharing like how the company started? I'm just
Yeah,
just
sure.
genuinely curious. Yeah.
So we were Wauwatosa Realty back in the day, I think in the 1950s. And then in 1965, it got switched over to Stefaniak Realty.
Okay.
And that was started by Peter Michael's father, Gene Stefaniak. And then my grandpa, Norb, came in the business a couple of years later. But Wauwatosa Realty is now Shore West.
Right. I remember
And my
that.
grandma is run by the Horning family.
Okay.
And my grandma was a Horning. So like we have ties.
So you got
and have
ties as well?
my dad's cousins are the owners of Shore West. So like we're all
really?
kind of intertwined. Yeah.
Okay. See right there. I didn't know that.
Right?
Very interesting. And how many, family members are involved today?
Yeah. So we've been Stefaniak Group since 2000. So
Okay.
we just have one office. My dad, myself, I have 3 aunts, my younger brother, and then my dad's 2 cousins. And then we have a few agents that have been with us for 19, 20 years.
Okay.
So it's worked out great just being on our own and being independent and doing our thing.
Got it.
Yeah.
And where are you focusing, mainly in
We're mainly Metro Milwaukee area, Milwaukee County, Waukesha County. I mean, we'll go out a little bit further, obviously.
Okay.
But yeah, mainly Milwaukee and Waukesha counties.
Okay. Got it. And so obviously been in the business, you said, around, 08, you were kind of doing 2 jobs at once or
Yeah.
maybe even 3 jobs at the time. How has the market changed since you got into business to, the environment that we're in right now?
Sure. I mean, in 2009, I was printing off MapQuest directions to go show 6, 7, 8, or 9 houses at one time to a buyer. So they had a ton more options to choose from. They could sleep on it for a couple of days before they decided if they wanted to write an offer. And then when we did write an offer, seller concessions were a thing, price negotiations, inspection negotiations. So, a lot more flexible for the buyers in that market, which hasn't really existed in this market in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I feel like buyers now, when they hear this, they're going to be like,
What is she talking
What
about?
is that? Sounds like a foreign,
Yeah.
foreign language.
Right? Yeah.
So on social media, you've got such a great account.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. How much of your time are you spending on that, and do you see some return on that?
Definitely. I definitely have. I started really putting more of my focus into social media in 2020
Okay.
when everybody was at home and, things were kind of up in the air. And I said, well, now I've got some extra time. Like, let's really focus on getting this up and running. I work with a lot of first-time home buyers, and that is where I would, 30, 40, maybe 50% of my business has been coming from in the past couple of years is just people being able to find me on social media or their friends referring me or past clients referring me, things like that. So it's taken some time. It is kind of like a little part-time job in itself if you're running it on your own. But I feel like we're kind of scrolling anyways.
Right,
So you
yeah.
might as well make it worth your time.
Yeah, jump in.
Yeah.
So let's, maybe start to wrap up this episode, and then if you can, hang around, maybe we'll do one more.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Investment properties. I know you've
Okay.
got a bunch of investment properties, and I know a lot of listeners would like to hear that side
Sure.
of the business. But as we just kind of entered into fall officially, I think it was Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Love to just get your take on, what the fall market is like, or maybe the differences or benefits of buying in fall versus, the spring market, and maybe even summer market too.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like we've seen things calm down a little bit. I'm not seeing 8, 9, 10 plus offers on one house anymore. There's might be, 1, 2, or 3. So I feel like in that sense, buyers might have a little competition if they're thinking about entering the buying market in this fourth quarter. On the seller's side, I feel like the inventory issue has been just an ongoing problem
Yeah.
for us for a couple of years now. But again, same for them, like less competition in the fall than you would versus spring when everyone starts getting ready to think about making a move.
Yeah. It just seems like the spring, and it seems like the last few years, the spring market has just started way earlier
Right?
than previous years. I mean, I've been doing this 19 years. You're at 15. I mean, it just
Mhm.
seems like the last few years, it's like January, like end of January,
Yeah.
things are getting going.
This year, that was funny that you say that because this year in January, I think it was like January 3rd, and it was like the emails,
Right.
the texts are coming through like, hey, we want to buy, we're ready to get started, which
Yeah.
like, maybe around March that kind of starts to happen.
Right. That's
But
like
like
the normal.
this
Yeah.
year really took off.
Yeah.
So
Any like forecasts for, the future here in the next couple of months?
I mean, this. I'm
Yeah.
like speaking to the
Yeah.
choir here,
Yeah.
but like with the interest rates hanging around
Yeah.
7%, people are kind of on the fence, I feel like, a
Right.
little bit. So I think 2024 is going to be similar to
Mhm.
what we saw this year. And you could give us your 2 cents on where you think rates are headed. But
Well, yeah. So we're filming this, whatever date this is, the 23rd of September. The Federal Reserve spoke last week, and they basically just said, "Hey, we're going to be keeping rates where they're at. It might
Okay.
even have one or two more hikes." So, I mean, I hate to say this. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
We might even see 8%, which is crazy. When I started, they were right around, these levels.
Yeah.
So obviously that'll probably, in my opinion, maybe make it the spring market start more normal
Yeah.
times, February, March. But it's anybody's guess.
Yeah.
And the other thing with the Federal Reserve, their track record is not that great. Like they say something and then they reverse.
Okay.
So reverse it's Federal Reserve. But
We
hey,
shall see.
yeah. So we shall see. But I mean, to piggyback on what you were saying, I had a friend of mine that started looking in like April, lost out on like 5 homes, and he just kind of gave up in July. And he's like, I'm just gonna wait till September, which he did, and maybe he just got lucky, but he
Yeah.
ended up getting a house.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So who knows? But let's do one more. We'll
All
talk
right.
more investment properties. But I'm here with Courtney Stefaniak of the Stefaniak Real Estate Group. This has been the Snod Pod with Jon Snodgrass, your mortgage resource. We're talking mortgages, real estate, forecasting of interest rates, and beyond.